Welcome to another episode of the Bottom of the Stream Movie Show. My name is Adam.
My name is Nick. Welcome to Bottom of the Stream. We are a world famous Netflix podcast.
We are indeed.
Not affiliated.
Unless they want us to be. In which case we would sell our souls quicker than the people in this film do.
We, every week, trawl the bottom of the Netflix stream, watching lesser known, or even lesser known than that movies, looking for hidden gems.
That's what we do. Is there anything good on Netflix that nobody's ever heard of?
Yeah, and the last couple of weeks,
it's been a good season so far, but
we've
yeah,
had
the
a
last
couple of
two.
good hidden gems.
Two
In
hidden
fact,
gems there, I think.
Last week,
New tabletop.
a new tabletopper, because we do 25 movies in a season.
Yeah.
We put them into a table.
Rank them against themselves.
We do. And last week's movie, Blood and Gold, was a new tabletopper.
It was. Took the number one spot from
It did.
Warriors of Future.
Yeah.
And thoroughly well deserved, I thought.
Yeah.
Really good film.
But that was last week.
That was last week. Let's move on to this week.
Yeah.
So last week we did a German movie. This week we're doing a Polish movie.
Okay.
This movie is called HellHole.
Sure is.
It was released in 2022. It is classified on IMDb as a TVMA, which I think is a 15 in the UK. Although I have not checked it.
Okay.
It runs for 1 hour and 31 minutes. Currently rated at 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb and is a Netflix original. 5.8 out of 10. Nearly 6.
Yes, it is.
Last week's film was 6.5 for context.
What's 0.7? Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's in the ballpark of last week's IMDb wise.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel this might be a Marmite movie.
Yes, I agree. I think you're right. I think it's going to be quite polarizing.
Which probably takes the IMDb score down, potentially. Up, mate, depending on which way you look at it.
I'm not giving anything away yet, but people will see the end of this movie and will make a decision on the whole movie from it.
Probably.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair comment. Yeah.
Do you want the synopsis?
Yes, please.
In 1987, Poland, a police officer investigating mysterious disappearances infiltrates a remote monastery and discovers a dark truth about its clergy. Horror mystery, Polish, Netflix original.
Yeah.
Stars a guy called Piotr Zurawski. He plays Marek. I've got nothing on any of these people, just so
I'm not surprised.
Olaf Lubaszenko plays Prior Andrei. And Sebastian Stankiewicz plays Piotr.
Yeah.
Written by Bartosz M. Kowalski and Mirella, I'm not even trying, Stankiewicz. And directed by Bartosz Kowalski, who you may have heard of. He's got 2 other films on Netflix called Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight.
I have seen that. I've not seen the movie. I've seen that on my
It's on my list to watch, but I haven't seen it. And there's a sequel on there as well, Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight too.
Okay.
And yeah, he's done both of those on Netflix. So this is his 3rd Netflix original. Do you have, Nick, a 1-word review?
Monkey business. I'm really proud of it.
I knew you were proud of it because you smiled and started laughing before you said it. That's great.
Yeah.
That is great because it's about monks.
Yeah.
And they've got a business. Yeah. Not a very good one. Where does this film start, Nick?
Lower Silesia in 1957.
Yes. And we see a car.
We do.
Driving up to a church.
We do. It's like a fancy Cadillac.
Yeah, it is. It's like
it's the 50s.
It's the 50s. Drives up to a church and a priest comes out with a baby, which he puts on the altar of the church.
Yeah.
And prays to God for its destruction.
He does. He says, destroy this evil seed. For some reason in my notes I've written email seed.
They didn't have emails in 1957.
I don't think they
you
did.
can't email God. I don't think you still can, even in 2023. Yeah, he prays for this baby to die, and then he's got this big ceremonial dagger.
Yeah, he's going to
about to destroy this baby with.
Yeah.
But just before he gets the chance to do it, the local militia come in.
But yeah,
they're the police, but
yeah.
For some reason the subtitles are called the militia. They break into the church and stop him doing it, and to stop him doing it, they shoot him dead.
I feel like we've seen a lot of church-based bloodshed this season.
The last 2 weeks, for definite. We really have. So the police grab the baby, take the baby presumably somewhere safe, and the priest is left dead on the floor. And then the film...
we go outside.
Yes,
And there's an eclipse.
there is.
Because weird things happen
In eclipses.
in eclipses.
They do. And then the film cuts to 30 years later. So we're in 1957. By my maths, we're now in 1987.
Good math.
Thank you. And we see a man getting off a bus in the middle of nowhere.
In the rain.
In the rain. Looks very grim and gruesome. And he arrives at a monastery. And he's greeted by the man in charge of the monastery.
Sure.
And it turns out he's an exorcist.
Yes, he's a priest.
He's a priest.
He specialises in
exorcisms. Exercises. He's not like a Mr. Motivator.
Yes, you imagine. There's got to be a market for that. Father
Motivator.
Father Lunge. I don't know. That's probably inappropriate.
That's very inappropriate. I mean, he's basically told, look, this is a place of evil. They describe it as a sanatorium where they heal the tormented.
Yeah.
They take him. It's like he's gone into prison. They take him off to like the guy who dishes out.
He gets
the
his
uniforms.
induction, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he does. He gets he gives given a habit, and they offer him some rosemary beads. Rosemary beads or rosary beads?
Rosary.
Rosary.
But he's got his own.
But he's got his own, so he turns them down. Yeah. Then they search for his luggage to make sure he's not brought any contraband into sight.
Which he has.
But they don't find.
No,
oh,
they
do
do
find his cigarettes.
They confiscate his cigarettes.
Yeah, they do find them. I mean, he's like, nobody ever really visits this place. It's not a nice place, but it's where the tormented come.
So what's he here for? Is he here to review process and?
I thought he was here to do an exorcism personally, but I don't think he was because he didn't ever do one. So I think he's there to review how they do their exorcisms and teach them better ways, maybe.
My perception was he's been sent by HQ.
Yes.
to audit them.
There's a twist later on in the film where it's revealed that this man is a policeman and he's not an exorcist.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't going to give that away straight away.
No, but the synopsis does.
Okay.
That's what I was like. Why is this being revealed as a twist when it says at the very first line of the synopsis in 1987, the policeman arrives at...
Because it's like a good 20 minutes in.
Yeah, it's a long time before
if I didn't know that,
revealed.
I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite a neat little twist.
I accidentally revealed the twist last week on the show. So I was watching it thinking, no, that guy's a policeman turned up at a monastery. And then he's like, I'm a priest who does exorcisms. What is going on? Yeah, so the synopsis is shit.
He gets shown to his quarters.
He does.
This is all fairly grim. Old.
It's an old monastery.
Crumbly,
you know what the monasteries in Poland look like.
No investment.
There's no electricity, no phones. And also, nobody ever leaves their room after dark.
Yeah, he's getting his induction.
Yeah.
Is this Andre?
Andre.
Who's like the...
Prior Andre.
Andre.
He's in charge.
And he says, we remain in our quarters after dark.
Yeah.
And he sort of gives a warning, doesn't he? He says, the evil one manifests his presence within these walls.
Yeah.
That's why you are here to, look at this and give us advice, I think. Something like that.
Yes.
And... So Marek, retires to his quarters and he suits up.
He does. He takes his clothes off, puts his habit on. Whilst he's got his top off.
He puts on his monk kit.
Monk kit. Whilst he's got his top off, he's got a mark on his chest, which we have seen previously on the little baby.
Yeah.
So if we reveal, there's the first twist of the movie. This man is the grown-up version of the baby. However, this man is a lot older than 30.
Do you reckon?
Yes.
I don't know. The beard was...
Do you not think? He looked older than 30 to
I
me.
could buy it. That never occurred to me that he was...
Okay, fair enough. It did to me, but that's fine. I mean, this is where he also reveals that his suitcase has a hidden bottom.
Yeah.
It's got a fake compartment where
he's like...
he has a gun.
Yeah, he's like... I was going to say James Bond. Because later on he's got like some special gadgets. We don't know about that yet.
No, we don't know about that yet.
Yeah, he's got a gun. He's got some other gizmos in there, hasn't he?
Yeah, note
paper and loads of stuff.
But he's also got a newspaper article that's about a missing woman.
Yeah.
So he's reading that at the same time. Yeah. So that's where we kind of reveal that he's not quite here for what he's saying he's here for. He then goes to dinner with, he goes and eats with the other monks.
And as he's walking sort of through the halls and the corridors of this monastery, you can hear pretty much most of the way through this movie, just wailing, screaming.
Yeah. There's tormented people there.
Yeah.
He goes to eat dinner with all the other monks and it doesn't look very appetizing.
They eat slop.
Yep. Sloppy, gruely, horrible priest food.
The old Foley artist, the sound effects for food in this film, I want to give a shout out to.
Agreed.
because they're really good and disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I will come on to it later. There's a specific, because I watched this subtitled mostly. Did you?
I watched the dub with subtitles on also.
And one of the subtitles, when a pot is being stirred, it might be one of my favourite subtitles I've ever seen. I just like, why have you chosen those words to describe this noise? We'll get to it.
Okay, cool. I'm excited. Marek then goes to observe some of the other monks with the patients. So he's kind of watching what they do with them and how they interact. Then he goes and has a bath.
Yeah, they're talking to one of the inmates. Yeah, they're just
basically giving them injections and feeding them and whatever. What doctors do. He then goes and has a bath. And the crucifix in his room starts shaking on the wall. That I don't understand why that was happening, but it happened. And then the next morning, we get woken up at 6 a.m. because 6 a.m. is the time where you do your exorcisms.
Yes, because there's some Bible
a whole story
chat.
about
So it's like a weak time of day for the devil, basically.
Yeah, it's the devil's weakest time of day.
Yeah,
it's also
it's
my
all in
weakest
the
time
Bible
of the day.
somewhere.
It's my weakest time of the day.
Yes, yeah, you and me both. So 6 a.m. they're going to do this exorcism.
Yes, so there's a girl tied to a bed, as always in exorcism movies. It's always a girl.
Yes, it is. I thought exactly the same.
Every exorcism movie is always girls.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
Is this like? Can we say with this one it's a historical thing because it's like stupid women?
Yeah.
It's like there's loads of reasons why a woman can be feeling or anyone, but it's like it's the whole sort of we're monks, we're men, we know what's happening.
I guess it kind of makes sense in the context of this movie, but in
you're
Hollywood
right.
itself, it's always girls.
Yeah.
I'm on the record. I don't like exorcism movies. I don't like The Exorcist. It's just and every movie since The Exorcist has always been the same.
And the first half an hour of this is like
that's what it's building up to.
This is an exorcism movie, and it's like even when they do this exorcism now, it's just
what's going to happen.
It's off the shelf.
Yeah.
Anything you've seen in an exorcism movie,
they're all the same. There's the spinny head, the vacant eyes, the male voice coming out of the female body. They're all the same, and that's why I don't like them because there's no originality there. So this is what I was expecting from this movie, and it isn't what this movie is.
What is it at the minute?
It is at the minute, but it never goes into that sort of detail though. It's never like you don't get the spinny heads, the green bile, the male voices or anything like that. They also video all of their exorcisms. They've got this big old camcorder, which is impressive considering a minute ago you said there's no electricity there.
All the monks around this.
Yeah, all the monks are there. They all gather behind the bed. They stand like they're in a choir behind the bed. And
it's your standard exorcism stuff. So there's the chanting. They're commanding Satan to depart.
Yeah, it tells
She starts writhing around.
Yeah.
It's just, you've seen it all before.
Yeah, it gets more and more violent. She sits up. The girl suddenly sits up in bed, screams into the prior's face, and as she does so, the crucifix catches fire
that he's holding.
Loads of you've seen it all before. The eyes burn out of a Jesus painting.
Yes, I've put Jimmy C's eyes bleed.
Jimmy C.
Yeah. So
there's
a statue of Jesus.
I think the eyes kind of disappeared afterwards. Little while, then that's kind of the end of it. We don't really see any more of that exorcism, this particular exorcism at that point.
Well, the job's done.
Yeah,
presumably.
Presumably, we never see the aftermath of it. But because Marek just goes back to his room.
Marek back in his lodgings, don't we?
Yeah, and he notices a small crack in his bedroom mirror.
Yeah, which
he touches, and it turns into a big crack. Because that's what happens when you touch. It was
kind of creepy.
Yeah, it was creepy.
I'm being quite facetious, but because so far this has been pretty standard fare, but there is an atmosphere. The way that this is filmed, this monastery is really creepy, and it is brooding, it is foreboding.
You wouldn't want to spend a night there.
Marek goes through some stuff in this movie.
Yeah, it absolutely does. You're not wrong.
He's walking around, isn't he? Is this when he's walking around with Pietro, one of the other monks?
No, he's not met Pietro yet. At this point, he's walking around on his own, and he sees the door to the prior's office.
He asks the monk, "What's behind there?" I'm just trying to get my bearings. And he says, "Oh, that's the prior's office."
Yeah. I think he was trying to get in because they were like.
I think he was.
I think he knew full well
what was behind
the big old monk that catches him. He's like, you can only get in there with an invite.
Yeah.
He's like this big lurchy big guy. Then they go for dinner again. It's the same slop gruel that they had the night before, but this time Marek throws it all up in his toilet. And one of his teeth also comes out.
Yes, one of the monks at this dinner table is really upset as well, and I think that was Pietro.
Yeah, that's the first time
and
we met
Marek
Pietro.
notices that this guy is
visibly upset by
Yeah.
something. Somebody whispers something in his ear, and that triggers him. But one of his teeth comes out.
Yeah.
I don't like teeth.
No.
Teeth. I struggle with teeth things. I had to look away.
Well, there's a crunch, and again, the sound effects are really, really good. And he, even as Marek goes back in front of the mirror, he reaches into his mouth, and again, just I don't even know how to describe it. The sort of wetness.
Yeah.
As he's fiddling around in his own mouth, it's really disgusting.
You've seen people pull teeth out of their mouths in films before, but this one just felt more grisly than before.
Yeah, and he pulls this tooth out, and it's obviously he's pretty shocked, and then his tooth hatches.
Yeah,
and a fly comes
out of it,
and
it was minging.
It was minging.
Later that night, he goes for another walk, and he gets into the prior's office this time because he's got a lockpick hidden in his rosary beads.
James Bond would be proud of this little gizmo.
Yeah, he pulls his rosary beads apart. He's got a lockpick inside. So he gets into the prior's office. And in there, he finds another room in the room.
Secret cupboard.
That's full of videos of exorcisms,
yeah.
including the one they've just done.
Was this on Betamax? It was definitely a top
Yeah,
loader.
they weren't VHS, I don't think. Yeah. So whatever they were. So then he's like, well, I'm going to go in. While I'm out, I might as well go and have a look at the room where we did the exorcism.
Yes.
So he goes to investigate that. And first thing he finds under the bed is a syringe.
He's a good detective.
Yeah, he's a great
this is literally like a video game where you're like, clue there, clue there.
I think he knew what he was looking at wasn't real
you already
anyway.
had suspicions, yeah.
So he finds the syringe under the bed, and then he's walking around the bed, and he walks on this rug, and the bed shakes.
Yeah.
And he lifts the rug back, and there's two pedals under the rug. They're like slabs in the floor. When you stand on them, it makes the bed wobble. So that's why the bed was wobbling earlier on.
Then he finds the crucifix that...
He finds a lever first, and that starts a wind machine going off, which is what was
howling noises,
making all the noises of the devil.
And then he finds the crucifix that Andre was using for the exorcism.
It does.
And it's essentially a lighter.
Yeah, it's got a switch on the back that sets it on fire.
Presumably there's a little gas canister or whatever in there, and it the whole thing was a hoax.
Yeah, the whole thing's not real.
And I was like, oh, this is an interesting twist, only 20 minutes in.
Exactly what I was thinking as well. I was on board with this now.
Because I was like expecting this to be the whole movie.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be an exorcism movie.
Yeah.
I was expecting possessed girls all the way through with different exorcisms going on. But at this point, I was like, well, I am not getting that now. Because there's no way there's going to be any more exorcisms in this movie now. We know what they're doing.
So
now I was on board.
We kind of follow Marek back to his quarters and he's pondering all this.
Yeah.
And he takes the crucifix down from the wall and puts it in a drawer.
Yes.
This is a man quickly losing whatever faith he had.
Yeah. If he had any in the first place.
Yeah.
Next morning, they're having like a service, I guess you'd call it. I'm not quite sure what all these technical terms are. And Prior Andre is speaking, and then he calls on Marek to lead the service.
You're our guest. You lead us in prayer.
So at this point, we're starting to get the impression that maybe they're onto him a little bit. Well, I was anyway, because he starts to do it.
Yeah.
And then he's told to, no, we do it in Latin.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay,
and he can't.
So they're onto him.
Yeah.
Because he can't do it in Latin. He tries, he can't do it. So Pietro takes over.
Yeah.
He carries on the service. I've written here, busted, ? Then they go for dinner again. We see him again.
This was vile.
This was disgusting.
There was quite a bit of vileness surrounding food in this movie, and this was the first one.
Go on.
And all I can describe is that at dinner, Marek, you can see he's considering, do I even
try and eat this stuff?
And I'm sure I'm sure through every time they have dinner in this movie, I'm sure they crank up the horrible sound effects. And Marek takes a spoonful and there's a crunch.
Yeah.
That's never good, is it?
No.
And from his mouth, he pulls out a crunchy hairball.
Yeah, ball of hair.
Yeah.
Oh, it made me feel ill.
From this broth.
I was eating at the beginning of this movie because I hadn't got a lot of time last night. So I was eating my dinner whilst watching the movie. And I just finished at that point because I was so glad I'd finished because I would not have been able to otherwise. It was disgusting. Hair in a mouth is the worst thing. Decided.
He goes back to his lodgings and the crucifix is back on the wall.
Yeah, he knows they're onto him.
Yeah.
Because he knows that he was set up to do the Latin reading earlier. He knows somebody's put that in his dinner.
Yeah.
Somebody's put the crucifix back on the wall. So he tools up.
He's packing heat.
He gets his gun, hides it under his habit. He burns the newspaper article that he'd got, because I think leave no evidence, maybe. And he tries to leave. He goes to leave the monastery altogether.
Yeah.
But the gates are locked.
The front door is locked, and then there's a portcullis.
Yeah, there's like a gate in front of it.
Front of the doors.
Yeah.
So he goes down to the cells, I thought.
Or he looks out the window first and sees them burying a casket.
Yeah.
And then he goes down to check some of the cells. And he gets I would say caught in there. Somebody comes up behind him, whispers in his ear, go to the church, meet me in the confessional.
Yeah.
We need to talk. So he does. He goes straight upstairs, heads into the confessional booth, and it's Piotr.
Yeah.
And he says, they're onto you.
They're watching you.
They're watching you. They literally know why you're here. They know who you are. They know everything about you. And you're in trouble because there's no way out of this place.
And Marek says, I'm not a priest.
Yeah.
Which Piotr is surprised at. So I think he didn't know the detail.
Yes. Or he at least made out that he didn't.
He says, yeah, I'm not a priest. I'm militia. And I'm here because we have got 8 missing women in this area. And they've all been sent here as patients and never been seen again.
Yeah, basically. And so Pietr's he gives him the lowdown on what's going on here.
He says, yeah, we're running a scam.
It's basically a full scam. We fake the exorcisms.
We get money from the Vatican.
We get money from the Vatican for doing exorcisms. And then they just claim that the women all went insane and died.
Yeah.
And the women are all buried in the back garden. And Piotr says to Marek, will you get us out? And Marek says, yeah. I'll get you out.
Get us both out of here.
But he says, I'm not going.
I think they drug the women.
The women, yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And he says, but I'm not finished. I'm not going until I've finished what I've started. So Piotr says, well, be careful.
Yeah.
Just be really careful because they're on.
He's got an ally.
Yeah. So he goes back to his room. I think he was checking for bugs at this point. So he was like cameras and things like that. Then something really weird happens. So he pulls the wardrobe away from the wall. And there's like
I thought this was the HellHole from the title.
Agreed, I did as well. But
there's a manky
there's a gruesome hole in the wall
which
behind
is like
the wardrobe.
dripping and leaking
it's
black.
Oozing and
why did he put his arm in?
Why would you put your arm in?
He puts his arm in.
Puts his arm in the hole all the way up to the shoulder. And he pulls something out.
It's something that's alive.
Yes.
But it's just a mass of tissue and
then one big eye.
An eyeball and teeth.
Yeah.
And it like blinks at him. It's disgusting. And he drops it on the floor.
He throws it on the floor and throws his guts up everywhere.
Yeah.
And then this throw up on the floor is all full of flies.
Yeah.
Because of this food he's been eating, assumably. But yeah, what the hell was this thing?
It was something, a bit of something evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really strange. The first part, I was like, oh, it's a camera. Because it had like an eye on the top. It looked like a camera. But then I'm like, no, it's 1987.
And then
it's like fleshy, horrible eye thing.
Marek like looks up from this pool of vomit, and you get a jump scare of a kind of a zombie monk.
Yeah, again,
in his face,
which doesn't really correspond with the rest of the film.
It kind of does, because at the start Andre said this place is evil. There's evil within the walls, and Marek is clearly going through something.
That's what I'm thinking. Is he losing his mind?
I don't know if he's really seeing these things.
Yeah,
I don't know, and I think that's open for the audience to decide.
That jump scare got me because
me too.
I wasn't expecting it because there hasn't been any other even indications of jump scares in this movie.
No, this movie has up until this point just relied on, like I say, foreboding, all the other tricks, but not jump scares.
I don't get jump scared very often because you can usually see them coming, but I did not see that one coming at all. So that night, he stomps on the
eyeball tooth.
Yeah, just as he's leaving the room, he stomps on it. That night, he goes out to the graveyard. And he starts digging the latest grave. He starts digging it up. And then somehow manages to dig the whole thing without anybody noticing. And he then pulls the casket out single-handedly out of this hole in the ground. And when he opens it up, there's nothing inside.
It is empty.
It's completely empty.
At which point, he's twatted around the head and Someone puts a bag over his head
and carries him away. So they've given up watching him now. They're like, right, we've got to do something about this guy.
We're taking action.
So he wakes up and he's now tied to his own bed in his room.
His gun and all his gizmos are on the table.
Yeah.
So they're clearly showing him.
We know who you are.
We know who you are.
And the prior comes in. Andre comes in.
He's being watched by like the big heavy.
Yeah, the big hench guy.
Henchman.
Henchmark.
Henchman. He might have been called Mark. Henchman monk.
Yeah, he's being watched by him. Then prior Andre comes in. He's got some food.
Yeah.
4 great big bowls of this gruely stuff. And he says, I'm very disappointed in you.
This is the first time we sort of see clearly this bowls of stuff is meaty, gristly.
Yeah.
I think at this point it's obvious what this is.
Yeah.
Considering there's a load of missing women.
Yeah, I don't want to admit it to myself, but yeah, I think you're right. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And he's like, right, I'm going to force feed you all of these 4 portions of food.
Yeah. And the big hench monk
holds his mouth open.
Mark's mouth
we need to do it for medicinal purposes, which really made me laugh. But yeah, they force feed him all 4 of these big bowls of food.
And again, all the way through, you can hear, even though Marek's being choked, and you can just hear him retching and gagging, and it's horrible.
It's horrible. That's one good one-word review for this film. Horrible. It's just horrible. Later on, the big hench dude's asleep. Hench monk, I'm going to call him.
Yeah.
He's asleep, and Marek manages to untie one of his hands.
He does.
And this results in a scuffle because
he frees himself. And I thought this was well directed. He frees himself, sits up, and it cuts to the hench monk just with his eyes open,
just watching him.
And you're like, oh shit!
Oh shit! But shit's about to go down. So they start fighting. They're like rolling around on the floor together. They're trying to strangle each other. The gun gets involved.
Yeah.
And then Marek manages to pick up a pillow and shoot Henchmonk in the head.
Yeah, he does.
Through the pillow, which nobody hears, obviously. And yeah, he manages to get away.
Yeah.
He's killed the Henchmonk and gets away.
And Marek's like, right, there's places, I presume, there's places in this monastery.
Yeah.
I've not been. I need more evidence. I'm looking around. And he goes to the kitchen.
Yes.
And it's vile.
Yeah.
There's flies buzzing. There's pots of this stuff with bits growing on it, and just
horrible. How are these other monks living? Because they all must be eating that. There's loads of them there.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
And Marek, this is the point that I was referencing earlier. So Marek stirs a pot of this stew, let's call it. And again, it sounds horrible. And the subtitle said, as he stirred this pot of stew, the subtitle just said, "Wet palpitations."
That is a great way to describe that.
So whoever's subtitled this movie, round of applause.
Good for you.
That is really creative and quite artistic.
Then he finds loads of hanging, dismembered bodies.
There's teeth in the stew.
Oh, yeah.
He gives it a stir, and there's teeth.
Yeah.
This is people.
Yeah. So the tooth that he pulled out of his mouth, was it one of his own? Or was it a tooth that had been stuck in his throat from the dinner?
I can take it either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he finds loads of hanging, like, dismembered bodies. But really horribly dismembered as well. There's bits of gruesome grizzle hanging out of each limb.
Not well butchered.
No, not at all.
And I'm like, this is the second movie we've seen this season where a chief plot point is cannibalism.
Yeah. Things we do for this show, Nick, I'm telling you. Then Piotr comes in and nearly gets himself shot because he makes Marek jump and catches him.
He's like, no, I found something. I need you to see it. Come with me.
You need to see this.
And Marek's like, what? More important than these
hanging
dismembered
dead
bodies? What the fuck's going on here, mate?
And he's basically got this book.
Yeah, it says come to the library.
It's a 1,000-year-old book. And it's a story. He shows him a story about a chosen one being born during an eclipse, which basically has to be destroyed as soon as possible after its birth.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, the chosen one will become a demon and the world as we know it will end.
Yes, but he said there's a bit of how that demonic development happens. He says, if the baby is not slain soon after birth, then that chosen one will devour 7 sinners and the blood of an innocent, then become a demon and the world will end.
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty grim.
So they look through this book.
Yeah, and Piotr says to him, they they know that you're the chosen one.
They think you're the chosen one.
Yeah, this is why they're after you. And they're basically just completing this ritual because they're trying to summon the devil. But then Peter says, luckily, I know of an underground tunnel.
Oh, just before that, though, as they're going through the book, there's a picture of a mark of the mark
symbol, that he's got on his chest.
And Marek sort of stops
and
clutches his chest.
Maybe I am the chosen one. So then Peter says, I know an underground tunnel. I've tried to escape from this place before.
Yeah, but I wasn't ready. I was caught. It's like, we can go together.
So let's go. So they do go.
And Piotr says, look, you can trust me. He's like, look, I tried to escape before. This is what happened to me. And he lifts his robe up and he was lashed.
He's got scars all over his back from where he's been lashed before. So they go to like this altar where there's a secret door in the bottom of it. And they go through and they're in these tunnels. And they both go in. And then two people in red cloaks attack Marek out of nowhere. And then Piotr
just sort of steps back, doesn't he?
Steps back and points the gun at Marek. Marek says, I fucking knew it. Which I thought was really
just
funny.
A resigned.
Yeah. It's like, fuck, I knew I should have trusted you. And then he's knocked out again. He's tied up again.
Piotr puts on one of these red robes as well. They're like posh monk stuff.
Yeah. And when he wakes up this time, he's tied up, but he's standing up this time.
Yeah, he's tied to a pole.
And all the monks are there now, and they're all in
red robes. Ceremonial. Something's going down.
It's time to end the ritual and do what we need to do.
And Andre, the lead monk, says, "We brought you here.
Yeah, we set this
wanted
whole thing
you.
up.
We know you're a police officer.
Yeah,
we sort of set this breadcrumb trail up.
Yeah."
With all these girls, these missing girls, and
we even did some bribing to get you on the case.
Yeah.
We knew it needed to be you.
And he sort of sweeps his arm around, and you see that we're in sort of an antechamber, sort of in the
bowels of this
bowels
place,
of the monastery, and he says, "There's a well there.
Yep,
that's a gateway to hell.
That's the HellHole.
Yeah,
we found it."
And this monastery's built on it.
Yep, this monastery was built around it.
And Andre goes through this, essentially the what we learned about in this book with Piotr.
And tells him the story again.
We're going to bring the devil back.
Yeah, and we're going to become his acolytes.
Yeah.
And this monastery will be
a new world.
Yeah, a new world order. The devil isn't evil, humans are.
Yeah.
That's what he says. And they've waited 800 years for him to arrive at their door. And he says the evil one will enter your body and the world will change. But he says we need the blood of an innocent.
Yeah, that's part of the ritual.
This is the last part of it. So bring in the young girl. So they've got this young girl. And they bring her in. And they basically slit her throat right in front of Marek. Yes. And it pisses blood out like a geezer.
And one guy's just there with a couple of bowls.
And he
catching all the blood.
And they drink it.
Yeah.
But all of them drink it. They feed some to Marek. And all of the monks drink it too. And
then they chant. They do this chant to summon the devil.
And Peter and Andre are at the front and nothing happens.
No.
And Marek starts laughing at them from behind.
Like this was ever going to work. You're all insane.
I don't know if this was the dub or what, but it seemed to go into like silly comedy at this point.
I don't think, it was, I put the same. I thought it was like, basically, Piotr and Andre have a conversation to sort of, have we missed anything?
Yeah, what have we missed? How is it not working? I can't understand this. It's bizarre. It's like we've done all the 7 murders.
The subtitles is like, maybe he was supposed to eat all the 7, all of the 7
Yeah, the dub
people.
was as well, yeah. It did feel like, it reminded me a bit of that 80s movie we did. The British one, what was it called? The Hell House or whatever.
The Kenny Everett one.
The Kenny Everett one. It reminded me a little bit of that. It went a bit slapsticky.
This conversation was just a bit like...
Yeah, it just didn't work.
Yeah, out of theme with the... It's not even... Yeah, it is literally just this conversation.
Yeah, and Peter says,
theme of what we've seen
so Peter addresses the rest of the monks, and they're all chuntering to themselves, and like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah,
and Peter says, go to bed. We'll figure it out tomorrow.
Basically, yeah.
That's what Peter says.
So it's like, take the night off.
We'll meet tomorrow like nothing's happened. We'll start again. We'll figure this out. Everything's going to be explained.
And then, one of them says, well, what about the cop?
Yes, people are going to be looking for him.
Yeah.
And Peter's like, oh yeah, shit, they are. So then he stabs him through the chest.
I wasn't
Like,
seeing this coming.
I did not see this coming
Just
at all.
murders
So
our lead character.
our lead character at this point. And the prior Andre says, right, just throw him down the well.
Yeah.
It's fine. Chuck him in the HellHole. So they do. They stab him through the chest and throw him in the well. And that's the end of Marek. It's the end of our main character. Prior Andre loses his fucking mind at this point.
Yeah,
now.
this is what his life.
His whole life's work. 800 years they've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
And so he just he starts smoking. He
cracks open a load of booze in his room.
Gets
plays
pissed.
a load of tunes.
But then he doesn't notice it, but the crucifix in his room turns itself upside down.
It does, yeah.
Spins upside down, but he doesn't notice it. He starts singing. He just gets absolutely wankered. And to the point where Peter has to come in and put him to bed.
Yeah, he's like, oh, God.
I can't believe you've done this.
Puts him on his couch, doesn't he?
Yeah,
wraps him up in a blanket. He's like, oh,
and he gets all.
You need to sleep it off.
Andre gets all lovey-dovey drunk, doesn't he? He's like, oh, you're excellent, you are. You're the best assistant I've ever had, blah, blah, blah. And then he falls asleep. And then Peter kills him.
He smothers
him with a pillow.
Second pillow-based death of this
and
movie.
It takes ages for him to die, and he's writhing around, and you can hear him like screaming under the pillow, and his hands trying to grasp anything. And it takes a good long time for him to go, but he does. He kills him. The next morning, they're burning all the remaining bodies in the garden. They've got this. I went right to the mic then.
All the dismembered women.
Yes, and then they discover the dead prior.
Yeah.
So they go in and like, oh no, the
not
prior's
this
dead
morning. Yeah.
And then
and another older monk.
Yeah.
Even
age,
older
than all of them.
Quite senior. He's like, oh, Piotr, you're next in line. You have to assume
you're now in charge.
Andre's duties.
Yeah. And then, as we look at the dead body of Prior Andre, a little fly flies out of him.
Yeah.
And we follow this fly for a little while, and we follow it through the corridors and down the stairs and through this tunnel, and down the well.
Yeah.
And it lands on Marek's body. And it jerks and wakes up as if he's not dead.
Yeah.
He's definitely dead, but it wakes up like he's not dead.
He does, yeah.
And it gets up.
And he comes to his knees,
yes,
doesn't he?
Gets to his knees.
He's all wonky, like he's got broken limbs, which he probably has been because he's just been chucked down a well and stabbed to death.
And then he starts screaming and screaming.
And he goes on fire.
Screaming and burning.
And his face melts.
Falls off.
And he's turning into a beast.
A demon, you could say.
No, the devil.
The devil himself. The king of all
and I was
demons.
like, shit, this is actually happening.
This is getting real.
I was like, well, maybe I'll come to it in my summary. But you know when we watched The Waterman a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
And I said, I kind of was like, would I like this movie more if they just went for it and The Waterman just it's real?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, are they doing that?
This movie fucking goes for it. I'll tell you that much. We cut away at this point, and they're doing like a service for Andre. Peter's presiding over it, and he's talking and going through. And the chanting was dubbed into English, and it sounded really weird.
Right.
I'm assuming in yours it was Polish or Latin, but in the dub, the chanting was translated.
Right.
And so, but chanting in English sounds really strange, and it just was like, this sounds strange. But then suddenly Peter starts choking.
Yeah.
Like he can't get his breath, and he's breathing heavy, and he's choking. And then his feet leave the floor.
He levitates.
And he starts levitating into the ground. Into the sky. And then
his arms come to the side, like he is taking the position of a crucifix.
Yeah, he goes all Stranger Things on us. His limbs start breaking up, and he ends up in the cross, in the crucifix way. And the Jesus face on the crucifix, they've got this massive crucifix on the altar, and even the face turns to look at him. And I'm like, that's a bit
weird, wasn't it?
It was. And then suddenly he turns into flies.
A cloud of flies.
A cloud of hundreds of thousands
and his
of
robes
flies.
fall to the floor.
Yeah.
It's like a plague of insects.
Yes. And they all fly out of the room, and then the monks all look back at the altar, and this horned demon, the devil appears.
Walks into the room.
The room, yeah.
With
That's
his
exactly how you'd
cloven
imagine
hooves
it.
and everything.
Yeah, big old devil. And the monks all turn and start to run.
Yeah, and scream.
And they all freeze in place suddenly.
Like, devil freezes time.
Freezes time. I was like, yeah, it literally looks like time's frozen. Yeah. All these people, the rosary beads are all like hanging from their hands, and it's crazy. And Then all of a sudden, all the monks start.
The devil, turns around and bellows, screams at
the Jesus crucifix. It's a massive crucifix. Screams at that, and as he does that, all the monks start to levitate into the air.
Yeah,
and then they all turn into crucifixes, but then they all turn upside down, so they all look like upside down crucifixes. And then while that happens, the camera also turns upside down.
That was a great shot.
It was a great
360 rotation.
Yeah. And so we're now, for the rest of this movie, we're upside down.
And we see like flowers blooming, and there's this big creepy dead tree that's been in the courtyard,
all
and
the way
that
through.
comes back
That's
to life.
all blooming as well. The ceiling of the monastery starts cracking, but that's the floor of the monastery now because it's upside down. There's a big crack that appears in that. The old tree bursts into life, and then suddenly the sky bursts open above the monastery, which is also the bottom of the screen now, and it looks like. And the film ends.
But no, the sky bursts open and hell is coming through.
Hell is coming through from the sky, but above and down below.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the film just ends there. The title card comes on.
The world ends, presumably.
Presumably,
or is going to.
I mean, it was a batshit ending, but wow, it was effective. Thoughts, Nick?
I thought it was fucking incredible.
Wow, really?
I absolutely loved it.
I am
absolutely loved it. I thought it was
flabbergasted by this. I always struggle with.
I thought it was brilliant.
I always struggle to know what you're going to think of horror movies, and I always get it wrong.
Yeah, but this isn't a normal horror movie.
This isn't a normal any movie.
This was just the balls to actually do it.
Yeah, I thought that. I was like, I wasn't expecting to like this movie because I was expecting it to be a possession, boring exorcism movie. They're all the same, as I've said, and it absolutely isn't that. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before. And then they come out with that ending, and I'm like, holy fuck, I can't believe they've done that.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad they did.
They said, this is the legend. If we get it right, this is what's going to happen. And you've seen this a million times before in movies. Yeah. It gets foiled or it's not real. You know, like The Waterman.
Yeah.
It was never real. It was just this legend. And no, they do it, and it ends up with the devil returning and the world ends.
And it didn't feel cheesy.
No, it worked.
It absolutely worked. It was a really downbeat ending that should have been silly, but actually really...
It wasn't silly.
It wasn't silly
I know
at
we've
all.
been a bit facetious through this, but it worked in the world, and the devil was terrifying.
Yeah, it really was.
I thought it was brilliant. Like, there's a shot when you see a long shot and he's looking up at Jesus. You can tell it's a man in a suit.
Yes.
But when you're doing the close up on its face, and it's just, I thought it was awesome.
The shot of the monks all hanging in the air upside down as crucifixes, but the camera's turned upside down as well, so they're now the right way up again.
Yeah.
I thought that was a magnificent shot. It just looked like, wow, that looks great. It's a great image.
And the fact it's just like, oh, well, that's it then. World's ended.
Yeah, done. That's the end of your movie.
Here.
See ya. No follow-up, no nothing, no post-credit scenes.
Have we ever had a character who's gone through more? I mean, Marek. Turns out he was the devil.
Yeah, he was.
I just thought it was just fair play for just being different and just doing it.
Just going for it.
I was just like, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. Oh, they've done it. Oh, that's
and they've not only done it, they've done it really fucking well.
But even before all that and the twist ending, this is my kind of horror film because it's not jump scares, it's not slasher stuff. It's
psychological,
disgusting.
It's grim.
It's so atmospheric, and I wouldn't say I wasn't looking forward to watching this film, but I was sort of my preconception is it's just like you said, it's going to be the standard exorcism type movie. We've seen them loads before, and it was so much more than that, and I was like. It played with my expectations, and I was so surprised at what this
certainly
was
not what I was expecting it to be.
It's really, really stuck in my mind over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, agreed. Same. I think the only film we've done in the past that you can compare it to is Elementary. Yeah. I think that's as close as you're going to get. I still think that's a better film, but
that's more on the action side of things, isn't it?
It's a different film.
More of an action movie.
It's the only other film we've done with the devil in, so it's the only film we can compare it to. And that did really well in the stream table. So.
That whole
it builds up to something that you don't think's ever coming, and then
eating the bowls of
human stew.
It's vile.
Yeah,
it's.
Yeah, it's great.
I tell you what, watching this one with the lights off, it'll be an experience.
Yeah, definitely.
This one's going to be in my head for a while, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the future I watch this again. If I'm like, I need a grim horror movie tonight.
Now you know what it is.
Yeah.
That'll be an interesting second watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know where it's going. Because they build up something all the way through that you don't think's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it does. And it's like, wow.
I thought it was a fantastic surprise.
I'm really surprised about that. I'm really surprised you like that.
I didn't know if you'd like it because it's not your
my
style of horror. But I just think
isn't.
it's that well done, and they take that many.
We've said it
like, oh fuck it, let's just do it,
Yeah.
and it works.
We've said it on the show loads of times. It's like if a film sets up some rules and then follows to them, I'll be on board with it.
Yeah.
I don't mind a film that will stick to its rules, and it absolutely does. And it's a fun time. It's horrible.
Yeah.
That thing that comes out of the wall was grim. That tooth in his mouth was grim. The hair in his mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, I never want to see that ever again. But then that ending there's some of the shots in that ending are beautiful.
Yeah, I love this movie.
Wow, that's crazy.
I
I was not expecting this today. When this film came out last week, because we said Robin doesn't give us any bad films this season.
Yeah.
We're like, oh fucking hell, look what it's give us now. And then even this is a hidden gem.
Yeah. Honestly, I think our last 3 weeks of movies, I don't know if we've ever had a run like that.
Do you think we're on the best run we've ever had?
Of how good the last 3 weeks movies have been. I'd have to go back and see what order we've done other stuff in, but
it's shaping up to be one of our strongest seasons, if not our strongest season.
I think there's a real Robin has been very kind to us. There is a real quality. This is going to be a tough to beat as a whole season so far. Yeah. There's a lot of quality in the stream table.
There really is. What's the best thing about this movie, Nick?
Is it the end?
I think it's I think it is. I think it's the fact that it...
Because the last 10 minutes, I sat there going, no.
I did as well. I was like...
No.
I sat up straight. I was like, what? They're actually doing this. I was like... The fact that it tells you what it's going to do and then it does it, I think that's the best thing about this. They didn't like pull the rug away at the last minute. Yeah, the twist is they've told you all the way through that this is going to happen and it happens.
Yeah.
That's
because
great.
you've seen so many other movies where the opposite
where they pull the rug away. When they were doing... The one downside is that scene that I don't think it translated well, where they think it's failed.
Yeah, because the monks hadn't considered that this might not work. Ritual wouldn't happen. It wouldn't immediately work.
Yeah,
which it didn't. It took hours.
Yeah, but that scene was a little bit slapsticky, and I was like, oh, this is where they're going with it, and it's all going to be fake, and they're all just going to get arrested at the end. And then they were like, no, fuck you. This is what we're doing. What would you change about it? Not a lot, I don't think.
I think it's pretty good as it is. What would I change about it? I mean, nothing immediately springs to mind. I'd be.
I love the way it just stops as well. It's just like the sky's broken open, hell's coming through.
You ain't topping that.
And it just done. Fades to black. Title card comes on. Credits roll.
I was going to say, would I want a bit more of Marek snooping around, but I think that's just adding. You don't need it.
No, you don't need it.
Do you know what I mean?
It's pretty much. It is what it is.
There's not much mystery, is there? Because he goes, he in one scene goes and uncovers all the the fake exorcism stuff, and literally in the next scene he gets told they're onto you. They know what you're doing. Yeah. So maybe you could drag that out a bit, but it doesn't affect my enjoyment.
It would affect the pace of the film. I think. It moves at such a tempo that you don't need that. I don't think.
Yeah.
Awesome. Should we do stream table?
Yeah.
Shall I read all of it, or just the top 10 again? Or
it's up to you.
I'll read it all.
Okay.
Currently in number 16 is Spaced Out, 15 is Buddy Games, 14 Here Are the Young Men, 13 Freaks, You're One of Us, 12 Mercy, 11 Sweet Girl. The top 10 are Still Time, number 9 Girlfriend's Day, 8 Cadaver, 7 Catty Catty, 6 Don't Listen, 5 Against the Ice, 4 The Humans, 3 The Waterman, 2 Warriors of Future, and number 1 currently is Blood and Gold, last week's movie. Thoughts?
I'm really tempted to put it at number 1. Honestly.
It's really tight. It's better than Warriors of Future.
Yeah.
It's really tight between these last two films.
Yeah. And on a different night you want a different thing.
Yeah. There isn't much between them, I'm with you.
Honestly, it's just down to personal preference.
The fact that you're campaigning for a horror movie to go at number 1 says a lot.
Yeah. I thought it was great. I just thought all the way through it was great.
But Blood and Gold's all the way through.
Yeah,
Is great
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Honestly, we've been really spoiled the last couple
We
of weeks.
really have. Well, the top four are going to be, 3 of them are going to be the last 3 films.
Yeah.
In the top 4. Number 1, is it number 1? Is it better than Blood and Gold? Is it?
It's more surprising than Blood and Gold. Is that enough to put it at number 1? I don't know. I'm not sure. Myself.
I think if I was going to watch one of them again,
I've watched both of them again.
I'd watch both of them again. I think the first one I'd
really
watch.
Tough.
It's. I think the one I'd pick first would be Blood and Gold.
Blood and Gold is more fun. It's got
Yeah.
the fun aspect to it, but this has got the element of surprise. So that I think that's what you're weighing up because they're both really good movies.
They're both really good movies.
I would say I know a lot of our listeners do watch along and watch these movies. Not everyone does. That's fine. You know, I would say if you just got time to watch a couple,
Watch those two.
watch HellHole and watch Blood and Gold because they're great.
Yeah, they really are.
What do you want to do?
I don't know. My gut's telling me to keep Blood and Gold at number 1.
Okay.
So that.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, but it's just it's paper thin.
Paper thin, absolutely is. I think Blood and Gold just edges it. Okay. Just. Very just.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. At some point, Robin's going to absolutely screw us over this season. He has to. He absolutely has to. So since Buddy Games came out, it's just like, it's like he feels bad for us. It's like, I made him watch Buddy Games. Next movie? Should we pick next week's movie?
Yeah, let's do it.
Robin has been given the week off.
Okay.
By our Patreon, Sam Mulholland.
Wow.
Who's decided to play a wild card.
Wild card.
Look, all I'm saying, Sam, is you got a tough act to follow after the last 3 weeks.
You really have. Yeah, so he's played his wild card.
Fine. Good.
What Sam's picked is a German movie.
Okay. We've quite geographically tight.
Very
the last
much being
3
in,
weeks.
that sort of...
Germany, Poland and Germany.
Yes.
Fine.
He's picked a movie from 2023
Okay.
this year. Came out in July, in fact. It's even newer than Blood and Gold.
Wow.
It's called Paradise.
Okay.
You want to go to Paradise with me, Nick?
Sure.
Would you like a synopsis of Paradise?
I really would.
It's an action sci-fi thriller.
Cool.
Fucking hell, it's the longest synopsis I've ever seen. Right, you ready for this? Sit
sure.
down,
Okay.
get a drink. Set in the not too distant future where the company Aeon has become a multi-billion-dollar big pharma conglomerate. The startup managed it with a revolutionary technology that makes it possible to transfer lifetime from one person to another. This has serious consequences for parts of society. Eleanor is confronted with insurance claims that she and her husband, Max, cannot pay, so she feels compelled to sell 40 years of her life to Aeon. Max works for the company himself and from then on tries everything to get back the lost years of his wife. He finds out that the CEO of Aeon is targeting Eleanor's lifetime, so he hatches a plan to kidnap her. For Max and Eleanor, a hunt begins that not only takes them across national borders, but also to the edge of their own moral concepts.
Okay, cool.
I don't feel like I need to watch that
Yeah.
now. It's a German film. It's 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb.
Oh, yeah.
Quite high.
That's high.
So Sam has he's got some work to do, but well, who knows? We'll see.
Look, Sam's done very well in wild cards previous seasons.
He's also done very badly in some seasons. So who knows? Let's
home run or bust.
we will find out next week when we watch Paradise. And in the meantime, check us out on Instagram and Letterboxd at BOTS_podcast. If you want to drop us an email, our email address is bottomofthestream@gmail.com and our website is bottomofthestream.com. On our website, you will find every episode we've ever recorded, all of our stream tables, loads of other cool stuff. And if you want to buy some merch, you can even get a Bottom of the Stream
set of rosary beads.
Okay. After you've done that, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/bottom of the stream. On there for £5 every month, you will get early access to episodes. You will get a poster. You will get a secret area of our Discord that you're allowed into, where you can come and chat with me and Nick and the other Patreons. And you will also get a wild card, which means you can do what Sam's just done, pick a film If we think it's the best film of the season, you will win a prize. Not even the best film of the season, the best wild card of the season.
You've only got to beat
You've only
five
got
of
to
the
Yeah.
wild cards.
You will win a prize at the end of the season if you win it. I am currently winning it. And Discord. After you've done all of that, head over to Discord. The Discord is a fun group of fun people who will talk to you about anything. We have loads of cool chats in there. We play games. We've got a watch along coming up this Sunday night, which would have happened by the time this episode comes
yes,
out.
very true.
Loads of other cool stuff. All sorts of shit goes on in the Discord. It's great. The Discord link is at the bottom of the show notes.
If you can spare a few minutes, please consider leaving us a rating and or review anywhere you can review and rate podcasts, because it really helps. It helps spread the word, helps get our little podcast in more ears and in front of more people's eyes, and that's always a good thing. And you can do that by leaving us reviews on anywhere that you find podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Podchaser, all of those. There's hundreds of them. We're on them. Come and find us.
Come and find us on any of them, and if we're not on one that you find, let us know and we'll get on it. I think that's it.
Yeah.
We've done.
I feel like I need to lie down,
I do as well.
but I'll probably just think about devils and eyeball monsters and
So yeah, go out, do whatever you want to do with that. Definitely go and watch HellHole. Definitely go and watch Blood and Gold. Then when you've watched those two, go and watch Paradise. And we'll come back on Monday for The Wave and next Thursday for the movie show.
cheers.
Bye.